Nadia Khan, when we posted the news about it, she's a well-known pediatrician from Basmet Hillcrest Private Hospital for 11 years. And we know she's passionate about children and holistic health. And she's one of the most, I would say, followed doctors right now with over 22,000 followers on Instagram. But I think what really has made her quite a sensation is more the types of videos that she posts and then the information about it, and basic things, using nebulizer, what to look out for with your kids, how long to keep your kids at home before sending them to school if they're not well. But also as a family, as we're entering the season, we're entering winter, I thought it was important to get somebody like Dr. Nadia into studio to help shed some light on new viruses that are going around, the new little symptoms that people are feeling. And post-COVID, everybody's scared. When the next person coughs these days, or when you end up in hospital, you don't want to be stuck in a hospital, especially now, and especially if it's post-COVID trauma disorder, I would say, that people are now petrified with lung problems or whatever it may be. So welcome, Dr. Nadia Khan to Radio Ansar and to the other side studios. Assalamu alaikum and welcome. It's great to have you today. It's such a pleasure. I must at the outset tell you that it was so wonderful to see you actually walking in. I understand that it's coming from far, from Hillcrest and Roxy, and I think Nakuda as well from Osman, for actually bringing you and making it possible for you to actually be here. And I'm going to make the most of it. That's no problem at all. And then I just wanted to say it's Busa made and Rafiq will actually kill me if I don't actually say that to you. Okay, thank you. Busa made Hillcrest Hospital. That's perfect. That's something new. So tell us a little bit now, with the big change, now you've worked in hospitals for so many years, you've worked in RT Council and division. Now we shift into your favorite season. I would imagine it's a doctor's favorite season when we enter winter. Oh my gosh, yeah. What goes through your mind when it comes to this time of year? What typically happens? I work non-stop. I will not be seeing my family much, but more importantly, I think the first thing that I think is make sure you're getting your vitamins in, number one. Number two, make sure that you've got all your immunizations up to date, especially on your children. Yeah, I mean, it's protect yourself really. And it's not like crazy protection. It's not like you should be wearing masks and things like that. It's more strengthen your own body, is what I would say. So strengthen your body to be prepared and build up that immune system. Do the flu vaccine because flu really knocks kids, knocks adults, knocks everyone. So when it comes to this time, now I did mention it was a joke, but obviously, you being a doctor probably would think, my goodness, what terms is she coming up with now, post-COVID trauma disorder? But I'm trying to imagine, post-COVID, people ended up in hospitals, like randomly, young or old, it didn't matter, you ended up in hospitals in ICU. And now people, when they end up with lung or respiratory problems, they're almost taking it as seriously now. Is that a thing now? Has it become worse on our bodies now post-COVID?
Do you know what it is? It isn't even the COVID per se, because in children, what I'm finding is that whatever immunity we've had to viruses previously, and I think this was for adults as well, we're finding that we've lost COVID. So what happened after COVID, post-COVID, in the first year after COVID, is that you're seeing children manifesting your usual diseases, but manifesting it at least 10 times worse than you would have normally. So in the case of, say, RSV, and we all know about RSV, in the first year after COVID, I think we saw a record number of children ending up in high cares and ending up on oxygen. I mean, it was almost like shocking to me. I even remember having another doctor help me in my office, and the two of us were seeing unwell, wheezy children non-stop until like 9 p.m. at night. I'll never forget it. Strangely enough, it also coincided, and it happened to be around April, May. And I think that's because you're kind of seeing that RSV and rhinovirus, but also influenza coming in. But back to the post-COVID syndrome is that because we had that first year after COVID, we had more serious manifestation of disease. Parents have been on high alert because it was children who weren't normally getting sick, and now they were ending up admitted. I mean, I think most parents are probably sitting there like nodding at the moment. well. More allergic.
Yes.
More children have got immune dysregulation after COVID. So it has really had quite an effect on our immune systems. Number one, our immune systems are not as strong. And then secondly, we're seeing the bugs are almost stronger and hitting us harder. So,
Now we have a new thing that has entered in chat now called this influenza. This is not your typical flu, right? And why is this so feared right now?
so influenza in general, and I'm going to tell you, honestly, almost every single year, when influenza comes around, you need to be a little bit more cautious. Most people will say, "Oh, I've just got a flu." When they say, "I've just got a flu," they usually have a bit of runny nose and sore throat.
Yeah.
But that is usually more likely to be something like a rhinovirus, right? Influenza mutates every single year. It is a really smart bug. So when you get hit by proper influenza that is going around, circulating influenza, remember it has figured out that, oh, their body knows that I'm coming. Their body knows this is what I'm going to do to enter, replicate, and damage cells. So what it does is every year it alters itself to make itself stronger every single year, which is why you have to do a new flu vaccine every year. So what you're finding is that when you get influenza, you're more likely to end up with really bad symptoms, especially adults. You'll hear a grown-up saying, I had high temps of 40 degrees and I could not stand up. Usually it's more than husbands, but even rifles drinking. And I mean, that's unusual. And lot
Lot of
of
emotion. Yes. Yes.
like it's insane. And that's because simple fact that it mutates annually. Then COVID came along, we didn't really see it. Like we haven't really seen much of it. So maybe
It's creeping up
yeah,
here.
last year we had a few cases. This year we are seeing really crazy because we've missed. See, when you start skipping, that means we've got almost no immunity to it. And so people are being knocked out. I just admitted a child yesterday, extremely high temps, full lobar pneumonia, and he is 5, going on 6, almost 6 years old. He's not been admitted to hospital maybe since he was like a year old. So that's crazy, and he's really been hit hard. I don't know if you want me to talk about some of the other presenting symptoms in children.
We can go into that because even when you mention now the children that are now all of a sudden sitting with pneumonia and things like that, I find it strange now how we resort for us at home personally, we resort to the nebulizer now every time our children get sick. Every time we pull out the nebulizer. How important is something like a nebulizer these days?
So remember, when you have an infection, think of phlegm. The phlegm goes down into the chest. It can be really sticky phlegm, it can be thick phlegm. And that's classic of something like COVID. It's classic of something like ours, very sticky, very thick, plugs airways, and also ends up sitting in the alveoli. And that's kind of what your pneumonia is. When you cough and you got that disgusting stuff come up. I imagine that's in your chest. That's going to obviously impede gaseous exchange, and that's what makes you really, really unwell. Now, a nebulizer is great because what is it going to do? It's going to help reducing the secretions. It's going to help open up the airways. And if you follow it up with some percussion on the chest, it's basically helping to move all those particles out of the child's chest, especially because they don't cough well enough to clear their secretions. And that's what it is. Aside from the fact that the distance between kind of the throat and nose and the chest is much smaller, much shorter, so it gets into the chest quicker. The other important thing is they don't cough properly. It's actually quite frustrating, and I know a lot of you are going to know what I'm talking about when a child's kind of got this mucus in their throat and you kind of want to go just cough it out. And they kind of like carry on breathing.
Or
with
you're
that
going to give them the syrup to make it stop coughing.
You mustn't.
I need to.
Never, ever.
I know my mom. My mom always goes after me like that. She says, "No, they need to. They need to cough."
You give a child pneumonia if you give a cough suppressant. Because they're coughing. Remember, why is the body, every time we do our body does something, remember why? The body, when it coughs, it's trying to protect itself. Like you eat something and or you drink something and some of it goes into you. How does your body protect you? By coughing it out, right? So when a child is coughing, the body is trying to get rid of the phlegm or whatever it is. So by suppressing your cough, I know you think like you're going to just have a much better night's sleep, but there are better ways to help. And that is to help the body do what it's trying to do. So if the body is trying to clear up the secretions, break down the secretions that we won't cough 50 times and maybe only twice to get rid of it. So ACC, everyone, I don't know if I'm allowed to say those words, the names of medication, but like a mucolytic.
Yes.
Even the saline and a nebulizer. And then, if the child's very wheezy, you want to give a bronchodilator.
Yeah.
Right, and they could be coughing because of that, because those areas are going into spasm. And I mean, I go through all of these things quite basically in my videos. It's kind of like a stepwise approach to each thing.
So as a family now, let's look at it collectively now. You've got mom, you've got dad that now goes to work. Dad comes home with a sore throat and he's going to now pop something with the other to boost his immune system. You've got a exhausted mom on the sideline there who's also going to now just pop something into the drink and just say, like, let's keep going. And then you've got a child, you've got exams now coming up in May, your second term, midterm exams.
Yes.
So that tension is there in the back of their minds, and then the sniffles start. What are typical things that a family could perhaps do, maybe to be proactive in that sense, or maybe some early symptoms that they maybe need to look out for? What advice would you give to the family structure as a whole?
Okay, so I'm going to tell you what I do, because I don't have time to be sick because I've got to work. I honestly don't.
That is a good thing.
And so the first thing I do is in of March, or April, I will get my flu jab. And so my mom had influenza and was in ICU, and ever since then I do it every single year.
Okay.
And it really is wonderful because everyone else around us, if they catch it, are falling apart. But we always do our flu jab and we're protected. So who does it in our household? That's important. So it's myself, my hubby, Yahya gets it. And then my maid and my nanny get it as well. So I take vaccines home with me for them, because I know if someone comes into the home with it, they're going to bring it into the home. But also, in addition, do you really want your helper at home or your nanny to be off work? It really knocks you. It's like 7 to 10 days. And so I always say this to employers. It's actually a really good idea because it's an inexpensive vaccine and it's going to ensure that your staff are, functioning well, throughout that season. And so I get it for everyone in the household, and then even in my office. Everyone in my office gets it. So that's how I protect my home. So everyone around us is also protected. That's one. Number two, so I generally speaking, because I'm exposed to viruses all the time, I take 1 gram of vitamin C every single day. I also take vitamin D because I'm indoors seeing
I was just going to say,
but I do not get much sunshine. Although now I've got my new offices have a window, so maybe I will. But vitamin D is important for our immune system. So that's the second thing. And then, in addition, if your child has a chronic condition, if your child's got allergic rhinitis, if your child's got whatever it is, asthma, chronic medication, make sure you've gone and gotten your chronic scripts and you've updated all of that.
Okay.
If you were a bit like, you weren't giving the nose spray so often, make sure you're doing it. So that's an important thing as well.
Nose sprays would be like a must in every home now, right? A nose spray, a throat spray.
Saline rinses for grown-ups or older kids.
What
You know-
about those suction things? I love those.
Oh, nose Fridas.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. I actually need to do a video on it because I recently met parents
think-
and they didn't have one and they didn't know about it. And I was flabbergasted. I was like, how can you have a little baby and not have a nose suction?
Yeah.
Like those bulb things just do not work.
Yeah.
And with babies, you find, or young kids, they get a lot of phlegm stuck like from the adenoid going down the throat. And I find that those the Fridas and whatever,
Yeah.
they work so well. Can you hear me properly about that?
Yeah, we can. You're expressive when you
I
talk, so
am
it's okay. You tend to
sorry.
move around
Much
a lot, which
like
is
my
fine.
reels.
Yeah. So the mic is in front of you. You just got to talk into that, then you're good.
And I kind of, I'm engaging with you. So
Which I love, and the listeners appreciate it also. I want to talk a little bit about other things that you've been noticing coming around as well. You posted a video just this week about it, I think, where you mentioned other things that are also surfacing around that people perhaps won't even notice. What would be some underlying symptoms or some things that people can maybe look out for that's on the surface currently that people need to look out for? We have people traveling. There's a lot of people going to Turkey currently. Many people coming from Umrah now. I believe now this December was the largest Umrah crowd they've ever had.
What?
It was millions and millions of people. But so many called it the Makkah flu when they came back. They were calling it that because people were saying they came back and then they got sick and then their family members got sick and it just started spreading.
So they brought the influenza to us. Thank you.
But I'm just saying that they almost dubbed it that because they said that was the biggest crowd it's ever been on Umrah this December. So what other things should people look out for now? What advice would you give them? What should they be wary about symptom-wise? Firstly, and how to know when it's serious enough that you need to take a step here and take your child to a doctor.
Yeah. So at the moment, okay, I'm going to say the influenza one is a big one, and remember that in influenza you're looking at really high temperatures. So like 39, 40 degree temps, runny nose, sore throat, but in the younger kids, please, febrile seizures. So make sure you have that, like whatever it is, I've got that pain and fever chart that I often will repost, but you need to control those temps because one of the main causes of febrile seizures, I don't know if people know this, but it is influenza. So that's one, right? Look out for that. Other things that are going around is COVID. So COVID is going around. In children, COVID is not as severe, and it's definitely a lot milder than it would be in a grown-up. But your symptoms are going to be, I wouldn't say it's as high temps. It would be temps, bit of a runny nose. And then they lose their appetite with that COVID in kids. So that's like the major symptoms. Doesn't cause a pneumonia too often in children. Influenza as well in the older kids. And I'm looking at the maybe 6-7 years and above. Often can't walk. Very weak legs, sore legs, can't walk, very sore body, headaches. And you start thinking, oh my gosh, does my child have meningitis? Headaches, severe headaches, high fever. Some of them will vomit and then they have nausea and loss of appetite. So you really do start getting concerned, oh my gosh, is this a meningitis? So remember that. Other things that are going around, RSV still going on. Remember, we're still in the season. So those high-risk groups, important to watch out for RSV. And with RSV, I would say the main thing to remember is that it goes rapidly to the chest, tight chest. So you're going to go from nasal congestion and it's going to jump into the chest and cause your child to almost quite acutely, so quite suddenly start having wheezing in the middle of the night. Or you might notice that your child's looking suddenly very pale in the middle of the night or having difficulty breathing. They start getting restless in their sleep. And then do you want me to discuss when you would go into hospital?
Yeah, we got briefly just under a minute to go and then you can.
Oh, okay. So to go into hospital, your big things, just remember, obviously, a very pale, very lethargic, extremely high temps, not coming down with the medication you're giving, not eating or drinking, haven't weed in about 6 hours or so. Yeah, those are like your main things, like difficulty breathing, retractions, breathing too fast, very fast heartbeat. Yeah.
Main things.
Fantastic. Dr. Nadia, I wish we had more time to go in depth and we could have taken some calls as well, perhaps in a future show. One of the medical programs that we have on Radio Insight definitely could do with you. But thank you so much for making the time, for coming all the way from Hillcrest to be with us today. It has been fantastic having you with us.
Such a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum. And thank you again to the Buzamed team for bringing Dr. Nadia in to be a part of the show today. Straight after the news and Asr break, we have Yusuf Isa from the Choprop team that's talking to us about investments in Dubai, Portugal, and Saudi Arabia too. You don't want to miss that.
Radio Al-Ansar. An informative Islamic global perspective. This is Al-Ansar News.
Making news, this are the 8th of May, the news from Durban 90.4 FM, Pietermaritzburg 105.6 FM. Msunduzi municipal manager will not return to office immediately despite court ruling. That's according to authorities. Ameri Kimonina suspended Msunduzi municipal manager Lulamile Mapoloba will not return to offices yet. The Labour Court ruled in Mapoloba's favour earlier in the week, finding that his suspension in February was unlawful, clearing his return to work. But in a press briefing today, Msunduzi Mayor Mzimkhulu Thobela says that Mapoloba remains suspended until all processes are finalised. Thobela says the investigation into the misconduct allegations against the municipal manager has been completed. More news, the SA Cane Growers Association has welcomed the ruling by the High Court in Durban, confirming to Tongaat Hewlett's obligation to pay outstanding levies to the sugar industry. Judge Rashid Fayed upheld the sugar industry agreement during Tongaat's business rescue, rejecting Tongaat's appeal. The agreement ensures equitable distribution of proceeds from local sugar production. Despite possible further appeals, the association is hoping the ruling brings resolution and the safeguarding of growers' livelihoods amid overdue payments. Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Mineral Resources and Energy, Sahlule Luzipo, says that Shell's decision to divest from South Africa is a matter of concern. Luzipo says that the timing of Shell's decision is not ideal as it comes at the end of their term. Trade Union Federation COSATU says it is also concerned about possible job losses as the energy giant plans to exit its downstream business, which operates about 600 service stations across the country. Shell's downstream South Africa spokesperson Pam Ntaga has this to say.
Considering Shell Downstream South Africa's well-known history, this decision was not taken lightly. Over more than 120 years in South Africa, Shell has built a huge legacy that we are all proud of. We have made a significant contribution to nation building by powering lives through our people, our products and services, promoting equity and inclusion, and making a positive impact on society through our social investment programs. We have also built one of South Africa's most recognizable and loved brands. During this process, we'll work to preserve Shell Downstream South Africa's operating capabilities, maintaining the Shell brand presence, and securing the best possible outcome for our people and our customers in South Africa under the new ownership.
More news now. Aviation expert Putego Mojapele is confident the Air Service Licensing Council will get to the bottom of the FlySafer debacle. Airlink and Global Airways wants the council to suspend FlySafer's operating license for failing to comply with domestic ownership rules. Mojapele says the parties will appear before the council again on Friday. The Special Investigating Unit SIU has been granted a forfeiture order linked to fraudulent land deals. It is all related to the sale of a Kruleni farm 33 on Zerefontein. The SIU says the Land Reform Department was defrauded of over 50 million rands. The SIU spokesperson Kaza Kayako has this to say.
We have sent that they be dealt with, especially in the deeds registry offices in Vryburg, Johannesburg, and Pretoria, where if those people are still with the employ, they need to be dealt with. And those that are not in the employ, we've already opened cases with the Hawks around this matter, so that even those that have left, because some of these people, when we started investigating at the time, they realized that we are onto them and they left. Therefore, we have opened cases against them so that criminal cases can be opened, and we deal with them in accordance with that. Because for us, the important part is getting the money, but we also have to deal with the syndicates, and they need to know that they cannot continue to do things like that. We are seeing even now on our social media pages where people are saying, come to our provinces, we also have similar kind of cases, and then we'll have to look at them, and we are saying to those people, report those matters in those provinces so that we can come after them. We cannot have a situation where people just go and sell land that belongs to the state.
The Muslim Judicial Council Halal Trust has reiterated its position not to certify any goods that are products of Israel or linked to Israel. It revoked Clover's Halal certification in January. The food and beverage group was acquired by Dairy Company 5 years ago. The dairy company is a subsidiary of the Israeli beverage firm